Involuntary. Done contrary to or without choice. Immigrant. Definition 1. A person who immigrates. Definition 2. A plant or animal that becomes established where it was previously unknown.
Juneteenth came, niggas emancipated now. Swap my wrestle chain for gold chain, bitch, I made it out. 4th of July, still wondering how I made it out. But we getting money, nigga, fuck what you talking about. Niggas party for everything, but they free. Niggas act like they knowledge them leave. Niggas party for everything but they freedom. Niggas act like they knowledge done lead them or left them. I smell the bullshit stuck in my septum, identified with my cerebellum, and Lord knows it don't fail them. Many dead bodies from wars, I still smell them. If you a soldier, boy, then tell them I can't hold you. For survival, you selling the illusion or the lies multiplied and seldom. It seems that the cream of the crop is melted. I had a dream like Dr. King when the bullet that felt him. Unknown to me that the X after Malcolm sung like Benny E. King, but it hit the high note. Let Maxwell sing. This woman's work is what I wanna see my grandma sing. Trying to stretch my time slow, just like Tai Chi. Grabbing on my junk low, like I got P. This that funky mango, don't go like cheese. If you catch my angle, it's 360 degrees. I got my first photo as a juvenile teen. I go. Juneteenth came, niggas emancipated now. Swap my wrestle chain for gold chains, bitch, I made it out. 4th of July, still wondering how I made it out. But we getting money, nigga, fuck what you talking about. One time for me, working on the chain, on the chain, on the gang. One time for me, working on the chain, on the chain, gang. One time for me, working on the chain, on the chain, on the gang. One time for me, working on the chain, on the chain, gang. One time for me, working on the chain, on the chain, on the gang. One time for me, working on the chain, on the chain, gang. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to the jurisdiction. You niggas barbecuing pork ribs. You don't understand your brothers being persecuted. All they did when they signed that 13th Amendment was free slaves, yeah, but then they made the prison complex, and now your brothers in slavery again. You celebrating Juneteenth, but by July 4th, nigga, you realize you's a slave again. Wake up, boy. Okay, so like, chess versus checkers, what side you on? I wanna teach y'all some shit, man. So you've heard this phrase, I'm playing chess, not checkers. You know, it's a very famous phrase. People put that shit on their bio and everywhere. And I hate when I see that shit, right? Because here's the truth of chess versus checkers, or chess or checkers, however the fuck you want to put it. Both are a thinking man's game. Both are a thinking man's game. And I'm not saying man like man with a dick. I'm saying man as in mankind. Both are a thinking man's game. Right? A wise motherfucker playing with checkers can beat a dumb nigga ass, even if both of them, you know, if he has his chess pieces or whatever. That's the truth of it. And what I mean by that, imagine on one side of the board is chess pieces, the other side of the board is checker pieces, right? Chess don't give you an advantage. Your wisdom gives you an advantage in any or, right? So like, okay, if you got the checker pieces and a dumb motherfucker got the chess pieces, even though his pieces can make different types of moves, if he don't know what moves to make, you can still whoop his ass with them checker pieces. If you have a game plan, if you have wisdom, if you have strategy. So that whole, like, I would like to see that shit get eradicated. That whole, this is chess, not checkers. Like, both of them aren't thinking man's game. Both of them, I seen kids play checkers where they just moving based on rolling off the punches. They Floyd Mayweather, and you know, like, you know, they in that Philly shell, and you know, you throw this way, I'm gonna roll that bitch off, and I'm gonna attack this way. So they reacting You know what I mean? They're reacting. But when you see wise motherfuckers playing it, they acting to react to act again. And it's the same thing you see. It's just checkers is not as prestigious as chess. You see what I'm saying? Like they have the chess tournaments, and it's like you think subconsciously like these is the nerds of the world. But checkers is fun. Checkers is funner because everybody knows, they play that shit, But it's all a thinking man's game. So there's no right or wrong. There's no this one's greater than that one. It's a thinking man's game. Whenever the competition is equal, it's a thinking man's game. But if I say you have checkers pieces on one side, chess pieces on the other side, you might think, oh, that's not fair. But it truly is. It truly is. It's just that comes down to brain power. And think about that shit. Think about the maneuvers. Think about all that shit. Because I can break it down in detail, but you should be smart enough to understand what I'm saying right now. And I want y'all to remember this for the rest of this episode. What the fuck y'all celebrating, man? What the fuck are y'all celebrating? Like, okay, so Juneteenth is a fucking federal holiday now, right? Here's the truth for Juneteenth. If you celebrating Juneteenth, what you celebrating is your nigga. If you got somebody in prison, you are celebrating their fucking imprisonment. That's what you celebrating. You celebrating their slavery. You are not celebrating the freedom of black people, because that shit never happened. Now, granted, if you celebrating Juneteenth on the strength of, one, that your baby can't be born a slave, or two, you just looking for a reason to party, then okay, I understand. That's the only reasons you should celebrate Juneteenth. Those two. Your baby is not born a slave, and you looking for a reason to party. Every other reason they telling us we should be celebrating Juneteenth is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Now, if you heard that rant I did in the intro at the end, you probably thought it was a rant. You probably thought I was just, talking my shit. But I wasn't. I was reading the 13th Amendment. And it goes along the line saying something like, you can't be born a slave, but by breaking the law, you can enter into slavery. Right? With that being said, when we got emancipated, they made black laws for black people. And it was stupid shit, right? Stupid fucking laws. And it's easy to break them or whatever. Also, on top of that, the Democratic Party created what's known as the NRA. And the NRA wanted to talk about gun laws. I don't really want to say it was the Democratic Party. I think it was because it was the Klan, and the Klan came from the Democratic Party, for those of you who don't know that. And they came up with something called the NRA and all this and that. And they made gun laws because they had this fear that niggas would get out of slavery and want to retaliate. So these niggas should have gun laws. That's why I laughed at, where we are today. The Democratic Party want regulations on guns. But yet, people have this notion that, well, somewhere in the middle of all this shit, everybody from the other sides just switch parties. Shit makes no fucking sense to me, right? But we had these gun laws in the time of emancipation, proclamation, right? But here we are, right? Slavery gets abolished, allegedly, but then niggas go to prison. Think about this now. I'm gonna give you a prime example. Before the fucking slaves they get freedom, quote unquote. Slaves didn't go to prison. They got whooped, they got such and such, and they got sent back to work. If you were a slave on a plantation, if you got sick and you were, one of Master's fucking top dollar slave, he buying you medicine. He buying you got free health care because he just paid money for you. Shit, he gonna look out for you because he's invested in you. They get rid of slavery, you don't have to worry about that shit no more. But what happens is niggas go to prison when slavery is abolished. Niggas go to prison. The warden is renting niggas out to places that need work. He's renting them out, right? And then they go to work and da 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 da. It's still a slave system. Only difference is, like, slavery never got abolished. You just changed the slave master. And that's why I think it's funny when you see niggas arguing, like, over the Confederate flags and this and that. And then you see the people with the Confederate flags. They're mad. They're mad. And we look at this shit so wrong. We look at it like, they're mad because they're... No. They're mad. A lot of them mad. They don't know it, but a lot of them are mad because their great ancestors went into poverty because they probably owned slaves or did some kind of, slave work, as in like watching over overseers or some shit like that. And they went poor because slavery got eradicated. And all that the 13th Amendment did was change the plantation owner. Well, it changed the slave master, to say it better. It changed the slave master from some white dude that wore all white and looked like Boss Hog to the government. It changed the slave owner into the government. All praises due to Abraham Lincoln, who was the genius behind this shit. Because he said, I'm going to find a way to own all these niggas. And he did. Because now you go to prison, you work for the government. And so when they make this a federal holiday, you niggas is barbecuing pork ribs and, drinking your Hennessy and shit. And, you really celebrating your brothers in the prison system. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be the first to tell you. There's some niggas in prison that deserve to be there. Because them niggas, they fucking deviants, right? But it's a lot of niggas in prison that should not be there. And the system is built against them. And I'm talking about your niggas who are in prison over survival tactics, doing what they can to survive, doing what they can to provide. Now if it's a nigga in prison for fucking serial killing and such, that's a different story. But I'm talking about the niggas who in there on survival tactics, right? I'm talking about the niggas who in there on an unfair jury. Them niggas, they don't deserve to be there. They don't deserve to be there. And Juneteenth is celebrating that shit. So I want y'all to think about this shit while y'all enjoy your fucking chitlin spaghetti and all that shit. This is a spit in your fucking face. And niggas to celebrate for anything but their freedom. Niggas act like their knowledge done leave them. It's ironic that it's a federal holiday as of today. They made it a federal fucking holiday, right? So that means you acknowledge the fuckery that took place. But yet you don't acknowledge the reparations that should be paid. And I'm not talking reparations. As y'all know, I don't believe in reparations as in money. I think it should be land, scholarships, machinery, shit like that. I think if it's a second-class citizenship, then they should have second-class rules. A second-class citizen should have their own form of constitution. That's what I fucking believe. But that's not what it is. But if you can take time to acknowledge that, Juneteenth symbolism, then you should also take time to acknowledge all this other shit. But you only acknowledging what's convenient. So that's where it goes. But back to you. What the fuck you partying for? Now, if you tell me I'm partying because shit, I look for any reason to party. And I'm going to say party like a rock. Party like a rock star. Enjoy yourself. You only live once. But if you sit here and tell me I'm partying because Juneteenth is the Day of Independence and you say all that bullshit, I'm going to tell you full of shit. You full of shit. Either you full of shit or you dumbing yourself the fuck down. Because if that's why you in it, you wrong, man. You partying for fake news. How the fuck you partying for independence? You about as free as you is not. It's going to be Juneteenth. You're going to be partying, cooking, barbecuing you some good old pork ribs. Might have some good old chitlins and some collard greens got pigtails in them and all this devil swine. But at the end of the day, come 4th of July, your ass be in the chain gang on some trumped up charges or some bullshit like that. Think about that shit, man. When the fuck did we get... That's like a motherfucker creating a disease, right? Watching you get close to death, giving you a little bit of the medicine to not really eradicate the disease, just make you feel better, and you partying for it. Like, we were forced into bondage, given fake independence, and then sufferation throughout, and we just adapted to where we are today. We just adapted to where we are today. What the fuck are you celebrating? Like, I understand when the mission is done, you could party all the fuck you want. That's my opinion. When the mission is done, you party like a rock star. And that's how I feel. And I'm not mad. I want y'all to get something clear to those people. For as much fucked up shit in the world, if your standpoint is to find any reason to celebrate with your people, your family, that's what it is. That's what's up. But if you really out here like bought into this illusion, that's where you fucking wrong. And that's how Mango feel about it. This is something big. Like, I don't know who the fuck they or them is, but I think they want black men and black women at war. And the reason why I think is for population control, right? Chaos in the house equals fatherless children, right? And I remember watching this episode of Captain Planet. Y'all remember Captain Planet? A lot of y'all new youngsters might not, but a lot of us, you know, from the 80s and 90s, generation people, you know, Captain Planet. If you don't know, he's a hero, and he's going to take pollution down to zero. But it was a Captain Planet episode, and he talked about population control. Try not to have that many kids and this and that, because the world's getting bigger. There's more people populating and such and such. So I have an issue with population control. Right? And that issue is, I feel like population control is against the ADOS people. Because the average ADOS house has 2 or more children. And if you really look at genealogy, right? Think about yourself. I want you to take this moment and think about yourself. The one you. Think about how many ancestors it took to make you. Think about that. A lot. So it seems like everything is narrowing down if you really look at it from that perspective. Like we somewhat think the world is getting bigger, but really it's narrowing down in a way. And that shows your importance. Because you have a mother and a father, which gives you 4 grandparents. And then it keeps going after that, like great-grandparents. You have more than 4, of course, right? Because your mother has 4. Her mother has 4, and her father has 4. And on top of what your father has. So it's like a genealogy. It's a shitload of people funneling down to you, right? So now that we got that out of the way, I want to say, like, population control for the ADOS people. You know, these people, when like welfare started and whatnot, I talked about this before, but they didn't want a black man in the house for a woman to receive the welfare. And at the same time, society was pushing the black independent woman thing, you know, black women thing. And listen, you're right. I get it. Black women want to be liberated, and I think black women should. that has nothing to do with the black family. Nothing at all. Now, if you're a male chauvinistic bastard like myself and you are fighting the black woman, I'm going to give you some info to why you're wrong. Black men got the right to vote way before the black woman. And I'm going to say this because if a black man don't say this, that's when the white woman's going to come in and infiltrate her mind and say, you need to get up on this woman's liberation because the black man ain't acknowledging your fucking suppression. So come on and join with me. It's in my opinion, Mango, that nobody benefited from slavery more than the white woman. Because you think about it. All she had to do was marry a wealthy white man and lay on her back, and she got all the benefits of fucking slavery. And every now and again, she could just sneak down to the shed and get some of that big slave nigga dick. And 100 years after, she can complain about how she's not liberated because she can't vote and this and that. But during the time, right, she basically received everything without labor. And this is just going off of what history tells me. Sorry, I'm not making this up. This is just, I didn't make the history. This is the history that was given to me. But when we come down to the black woman, it's a whole different ball game, right? So black women that get on this women liberations movement with the white woman, it always confused me. Because at the end of the day, if the women's liberation movement get exactly what they want, the next thing they're going to do is throw all these black women off. That's what I feel like is going to happen. Because the white woman in the history of this place did not, I'm talking about as a whole, did not give a shit about the black woman's struggle or whatever until it was time to use her for a head count, right? I seen this art picture one time, and in the art picture, it was this slave. I guess he tried to run away or some shit, and the dude was about to whip him, and instead of whipping him, the black woman gave her body to him, and he was fucking her. And while the overseer was fucking this black woman, the black man was trying to offer his body to stop that shit from happening, right? And hence why we got light-skinned people today. Well, how this goes is black men, I'm talking to y'all if y'all can hear me, we have to acknowledge the pain and the strife in the black woman. We have to acknowledge that shit. Last episode I talked about aggressive black women versus feminine black men. This episode I'm telling you, brothers, you have to acknowledge the pain and strife that the black woman goes through. It might not be no pain physically. It might be mental pain where, like, say for instance you're the breadwinner and she's just taking care of the household, right? Sometimes to her, she might feel like, I ain't really doing nothing because she's doing it with ease. And so that might make her feel like her value is less. You have to remind her that where her value is. I did something like a month ago about the palace versus the kingdom. And motherfuckers like misconstrued what I was saying. I said only a king can run the kingdom, but a woman, a queen can she can control the whole palace, but only a king can run the kingdom. And people was like, yeah, if that made you think like women ain't shit, you didn't get my message, right? Because the king rests his head in the palace. Even though the palace is under the king rests his head in the palace. So, I ain't going to beat that dead horse. What I'm going to say is, chaos within the house, it brings about fatherless children. Period. It brings about fatherless children. If mother and father ain't compatible, they either going to be miserable in the house, right? Or one of them going to separate, and it's going to bring about a parentless child. And going off statistics, most of the time it's the father that's gone. Some daddies left home, some daddies get fired. So to keep mama warm, they go out and pull fire. That's what you get, right? And I want to say, like, okay, this is a random topic, but I don't know why nobody ever thought of this, right? For the homosexual black community, right? Say you have a gay man, right? And you have, for every gay man, I want to say you probably have a lesbian woman. To keep the black genealogy going, why nobody ever thought to, like, hook them up? Like, why nobody ever thought to hook them up? Like, if you're a lesbian and you want a woman, right? If you're a gay man and you want a man, to keep the lineage going, because we know you make sperm, she has eggs, no matter what clothes you put on. Nobody ever thought, like, hey, let's hook the feminine male up with the masculine woman. Maybe they compatible as fuck. And, like, I'm not on no fucking, breeding scientific shit, but I always wonder, like, why nobody gave that shit a try? The masculine black woman hooking up with the feminine black male. Even though that's gonna be like a backwards household, it still can be mother and father, and they can still breed and do all this and that. I saw some funny shit the other day where it was like, in preparation for Father's Day, it was a meme, and it was like, how did it go? This chick's boyfriend, baby mom, turned into a stud, and when she texts, the girlfriend tells the boyfriend, "Hey, your baby daddy on the phone." And I'm like, that shit's fucking funny. And and then I saw another meme that was like, I don't care how stud you've turned, I'm not telling you Happy Father's Day. So shit like that is fucking, that it's fucking wild. But I always wonder, like, well, you got these dudes that are real feminine and they want masculine love. And then you have these females who are masculine and they want feminine love. Why nobody ever, put two and two together and say, hey, let's hook these motherfuckers up and see if it works. Let's see if it works. So, hey, gave you a thought. I heard Dick Gregory say it, but I think it's ironic that the hurricanes take the slave routes. Just saying. I say that again. I heard Dick Gregory say it, but I think it's ironic that hurricanes take the Atlantic slave routes. Look it up. So they got a new vaccine. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, finally. Maybe this is the vaccine that's going to be good for me. Because it's been a year, right? And I'm like, they took a year. They probably went through, they didn't rush shit, right? And I was like, this might be the one for me. I'm finally going to get vaccinated. I'm going to be able to go to the clubs, strip clubs, throw dollars at these whores. And then I looked at the trials. Nope. They had 131 guinea pigs. 131 guinea pig people that they tested this vaccine on. I'm going to give you these numbers, right? It was 103 white people, 19 Hispanic or Latino people, 17 Asian people, 7 American Indian or Alaskan Native people, 2 Black or African American people, 1 Hawaiian Pacific Islander person, and 1 multiracial person. So basically, maybe the multiracial person has some black in them, but in total it was like 2.5 black people. Right, and this is not my numbers. It's a fucking, so for bitch ass YouTube. I know whenever you say vaccine, it's like a trigger. Fuck YouTube, but it's 131 total tests. subjects, 131 guinea pigs. So, for me being so optimistic and looking at that, they only tried it on a couple of people. I believe that bodies are different. I believe the black body is different than the white body. I believe that. I don't know if people call that racism or whatever. I believe that's totally different because black people are prone to different things. So anybody saying that's not true, well, okay, why do more black people have sickle cell? Why do more white people get skin cancer? The bodies are different. That's just fucking true. It may hurt your feelings. The truth normally does, because if the truth hurts your feelings, then your feelings ain't rooted in reality, because the truth is reality. And I think black bodies are different. So for this vaccine to be tested, 131 total guinea pigs, and for out of 100, that's less than 2% was tested on black people. Just to give you a rundown of it, less than 2% of this vaccine was tested on the nigga body. So this ain't the one for me, And I saw something else, and looking at this, it led me down a rabbit hole. And they've been telling, like, black people are just rejecting the vaccine. Black people, da, 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 da. And they've been pandering this vaccine to black people, right? And I looked at the statistics, and actually the only people getting the vaccine more than black people is white people. Like the Asian population, I'm talking about Pfizer now. Be correct. I'm talking about Pfizer, the Pfizer vaccine. The only people who had the Pfizer vaccine, like less than us, is everybody else. The only people who had it more than us is white people. So black people are number 2 on the Pfizer vaccine as far as they've had it. So why the fuck do they keep pandering to us? I don't know. We're going to give you a free high top boosie fade if you get the vaccine. We're going to give you some free barbecue ribs if you get the vaccine. Nigga, your credit bad, we're going to give you a whole free car if you get the vaccine. Why y'all doing all that? Why y'all pandering to us? And like, I thought it was because we was like, nah, I ain't fucking with that shit. But the truth of the matter is, black people are the second most people to get the Pfizer vaccination. So why are they pandering to us so hard? I think they want all of us to have it. And then that goes into my philosophy that the black body is different than every other body. So what's in it so bad? And keep in mind, Pfizer is the same company that did them trials on them African people, them African babies, and fucked them up. And if YouTube banned this, YouTube could suck my whole dick. This is the truth. Look it up. Pfizer is the same company that did them fucking vaccines and shit on them African kids and fucked them up. And some of them kids can't even feed their motherfucking self. So fuck Pfizer and fuck YouTube. Because last time I said this shit, they tried to put a muzzle on that shit. And it's the truth. Pfizer, look it up. They fucking gave these fucking African babies. They said, we got some new shit we want to try. Well, where we going to try it? Let's not try that shit in Europe on the white babies. We love them lily white babies. Take it to Africa. Give it to them tribal niggers. That's how that shit went down. And they gave it to them tribal niggas and fucked them kids up. And then they had a lawsuit against them because somebody actually took the time to acknowledge that they was fucking wrong, right? And what they did in replacement, well, not in replacement, but what they did to mask that shit was they said, okay, cool, we'll give you a DNA test to show that you had the vaccine. And these tribal peoples was so fucking, they thought it was like some form of witchcraft. So a lot of them opted out. It was like, fuck no. I'm not bringing my babies there to do more of your shit. Because last time I trusted you and you fucked my kid up. That's how that shit went. And that was Pfizer. Same fucking Pfizer. Try that shit. Why I don't see no shit about them doing that shit to little lily white babies. They took that shit to a tribal place in Africa and guinea pigged them and fucked them up. So when I'm looking at this new vaccine and it's only like 3, black people, 2.5. I'm like, nah, dog. Nah. But, I mean, I don't know if this makes it to YouTube. I know it will make it to YouTube. I don't know if it stays up on YouTube. Just in case YouTube wants to take it down, Again, fuck YouTube and all this shit. It's everywhere else. If you don't have Spotify, Apple Play, every place I stream, and you only listen to me on YouTube, I'm sorry if they take this shit down. But it's some real shit. And if you get the opportunity, look that shit up. I'm telling you, in Africa with Pfizer. If you already got the Pfizer vaccine, I'm sorry for you. But I'm damn sure not taking that Pfizer vaccine. Damn sure. We are the only people on the planet that blame the white man for 95% of our problems, but still spend 97% of our money with them. That's from Brother Nuri Muhammad. I was watching some shit on the news the other day. Talking about, so Ron, I don't know if you know this, but Governor Ron DeSantis, he made some laws saying like transgender people have to play in the sports of the biology they're born in, right? And then, so on the news the other day, they had these 3 kids on there. These kids is young. And they said the new state legislation targets me as a transgender person or whatever. And then I came up with this philosophy I'm giving you. And that philosophy is, some people have a need for approval. And that's why cancel culture exists. Right? And what I mean by that is that the cancel culture, some of cancel culture is based on, a bitch getting raped or some shit like that. And that's justified. I don't think, I personally, I don't hate nothing more than a rapist. Right? And maybe that's my male chauvinistic side. Maybe that's the shit I got from the pimps I grew up around, right? I was raised around pimps. So maybe that's what that's from. And the one thing I know is you should never have to rape a woman. All these women selling pussy. What you raping a bitch for? Like, if you raping a bitch, you doing it out of spite. You doing it because you want to rape that bitch. Unless you're a serial rapist, then you even worse. But it's bitches been selling pussy since before Jesus was around. Jesus' best woman friend was a whore. So bitches been selling pussy since forever. Save you some money and buy you some pussy. You don't have to rape these bitches. You could always buy pussy. So for you to be out here raping bitches, you worthless. And that's my standpoint on it. But, right, I think some people got a need for approval, and that's due to this whole fucking social media. And I talked about the scientists, the social scientists, a while back. And so with these multi platforms, right, social platforms, what a lot of them are doing are hiring these people from Vegas that were fucking social engineers or whatever. Think about it, like, everybody wants to go to Vegas because they think they're going to win money. Vegas is the best promotional scam in the world. Excuse me real quick. Vegas is the best scam best hustle in the world, right? Because everybody thinks, I'm going to go to Vegas, I'm going to play the slots, I'm going to win big, right? Well, the thing with Vegas is they don't really ever show you all the people who leave that bitch broke. All the people that end up staying in Vegas because they lost their plane ticket money. They don't show you the people living in the fucking tunnels and shit. Like, you can really go poor in Vegas, But social media hires all these people that do the promotion for these casinos and all this shit. And that's where really, if you notice, the more and more, social media the world gets, the more and more need for approval comes with the world, right? And it might be happening to you and you don't even realize it, right? But like, a lot of people have this need for approval, and that goes, so you're probably wondering, why the fuck did what I was talking about at the beginning lead up to this? And it wasn't the kids talking, it was the fucking parents talking, because these parents are social fucking warriors, right? Now, as a father, I never want my kid to go into a war zone. I never want my kid to go into a war zone. I want my kid, when I let them go and they walk out into the world, I want them to come back safe, right? So, if you are promoting your baby, if you know the world is like this fucked up place where like people don't agree with that, they might look at your transgender kid as a freak or some shit like that. And these is kids. These kids don't have no kind. Kids is fucking mean. Kids are fucking mean. So if you know these kids might, fuck with your kid and all this and that, why the fuck are you so lenient towards pushing them out there in the world as whatever, might cause tension? And if you are a transgender parent, well, not transgender parent, but a parent of a transgender or a parent of some socially awkward kid, and you feel what I'm saying is offensive and you like to, come give me your side of it, cool. Just hit me up. I would love to bring you the fuck on. I would love to bring you on, and I love to hear your side of it, because I don't know nobody like this. But as a parent, I'm talking as a parent now. This, well, fuck all that other shit. This is me talking as a parent. I ain't sending my fucking kid in the world. If my kid said they was fucking gay as Elton John, right? The one thing I'm gonna tell my kid, well, I'm be real with you. If it's a girl, if it's a boy, I'm gonna tell him, hey, boy, you gotta work that out, right? But if it's a girl and she say she's gay as Elton John, but the other way, I'm gonna say, listen, you gonna face a shitload of opposition in this fucking world. You gonna have people that hate you. They gonna fucking discriminate against you. All this shit is coming. So out there in the world, you gotta have a shield. You unless you ready to like go out there and fight this and that. But as a kid, you don't need that on you. You don't need that on you. As a teenager, you building yourself. And you're building yourself. So that's not another you don't need another stress level on you like that. And a lot of these fucking kids, it's my opinion that a lot of these kids that is choosing to be gay, I don't believe in being born gay, first off. But a lot of these kids that is, saying they're gay or saying they're transgendered or saying all this other shit, I think they're getting that shit from their parents. They're getting some kind of knowledge from their parents that is leading them to that direction, right? Because what you notice is, like, you have parents that are totally against homosexuality and all this and that. And here's so what I want y'all to understand is, from an ADO's perspective, the reason I'm speaking about this shit so much on this episode is because man, woman, and child, I'm trying to bring y'all to generations, right? I believe we are the trees. If you're listening to this, we are the trees that make fruit, that make seeds. You understand? And that builds trees around us. So I talked about like generations and generational wealth and generational all this. So that's what I'm talking about. Man and man don't breed. Woman and woman don't breed. They can adopt. And here's the truth of it. If you adopt, that's not your kid. You can adopt them. You could be a parent to that kid, but that's not your kid. That's fucking God honest truth. Now you can raise them, you can whatever, but that kid has no DNA to you whatsoever. So I'm talking about passing your DNA, passing all of that shit, generational wealth, everything. So that's why this is big to me, right? If you choose to be gay, to me, that's you choosing to eradicate your bloodline. Now, if you got brothers and sisters, good for you. But if you choose to be gay and this and that, have fun in your life and all that stuff, but you are some way eradicating your bloodline, unless, you plan on like, test tubing somebody's egg or getting your eggs test tubed, right? But that won't be a kid between you and your partner whatsoever. So if you and your partner are the same gender or same sex, your baby will only have one of your DNAs in them. That's just how that goes. So that's why it's big to me as an ADOS person speaking to you. Because, like I said, I'm trying to light a spark so your babies use the world as their ashtray. That's what this is for. It's nothing against you. It's for the future. You know, your seed marry my seed, and the shit goes from there. So I think that, you know, having that need for approval comes about from social media, like I said, because of these fucking scientists that they brought in from Vegas. And these scientists is like, for instance, on social media, you have certain people where they put a picture up and, oh, I only got 5 likes, and they might look at somebody else with 150 likes, and they're like, well, their picture don't look as good as mine, and so on and so forth. And it brings like a competition out of you, or it brings a depression to you. It's a way to, you know, pro or con your emotional levels. That's what it is. It's a pro or con to your emotional levels. So like if you put this picture up and this picture got, even with my podcast, I'm gonna give you a prime example, right? Certain episodes I had like uploaded got more than the other one. And I'm wondering like, hey, why did that one get more than that one? So I'm telling you, I'm a victim of fucking, you know, this social media construct. At the same time, I don't give a fuck. I keep dropping that fire, you know, it's whatever. Shit gonna drop regardless, you know, fuck it. But I do look at the numbers. I'm in like 6 different countries right now, and I'm wondering like, okay, this one does 1,000, that one does 1,500. Why? What's the difference in here? What's the difference from there? You know, what is the people feeling more, and what is the people feeling less? I see that shit. So it's the same fucking shit, right? I think it hits differently because like I'm giving information. When people put up pictures, they're looking for self gratification. I'm not looking for self gratification. I don't have no commercials and no shit like that. You know, I send this out to the people share with the people share with the people. And this is for you to think differently. This is like a liberation pool for you. Whereas social media, you put up a picture, you want to feel, you know, if somebody hits your picture and says nothing but bad shit, like you get nothing but bad comments, you're like, that's not why I added these pictures. And some people, they'll take them bad comments and be like, I gotta do better. I had somebody tell me this week, you know, shout out to CLJ. I had somebody tell me that last episode wasn't your best one. One like 2 before that was your best one. I said, oh shit, I gotta come goddamn with it. And so like shit like that motivate me. For a Mangalore to tell me the last one ain't the best one, that means I didn't come with it as good as I did before. And so people see that it's the same shit with pictures. Well, like you put a picture up and somebody say, damn, yo, fucking, you know, you ain't looking as good as the picture before that. You're like, damn, I'm falling off. Do you slump down and turn gray? Or do you say, oh, I'm gonna stunt on that motherfucker? CLJ, this is me stunting on you, motherfucker. So how that goes is you gotta like revamp it. And people don't like I'm dead serious. Look this shit up. Like motherfuckers don't see. Fucking Zuckerberg, you know, that's the first thing he did. When this shit went public, he went and hired them social engineers. Them social engineers from Vegas, he hired them motherfuckers. And he fucking took Facebook to the maximum. And in doing that, they start stealing your information and shit on the back end. You don't pay for Facebook, but Facebook make money. Why do you think that is? They stealing your shit just to give you a little bit of something. But the need for approval grows more because of social media. Thank you.
We're doing that. It doesn't seem to be doing much good.
Motherfucker walk up to you at a gas station, right? And he says, I'm a Martian trapped in a humanoid body. I'm giving you my answer. I'm going to say, oh, this bitch crazy. This bitch crazy as fuck.
You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
Right? Because, you know, that shit is fucking weird. Right? And I'm going to show you something. I'm looking at you, and I'm using my prejudgment to determine that you're fucking crazy. The scenario I gave you just now is the subject of this topic, is prejudice versus identity politics, right? So when we talk about prejudice, when we learn prejudice as an American society, we learn prejudice and racism together, right? Now I always wonder why, because they're two different bodies, right? Like if a white person says, I don't like black people, we say, oh, he's racist. It's not racism. That's prejudice. Racism, because the ism means you have to have a system in place. You have to be able to put a system in place or have a system in place, a philosophy in place, all that shit. Like racism requires power. And if you don't agree with me, I understand. Fuck you. This ain't my language. This is not the language of my people. This is a language we adopted. So I'm only going by the book of what these words mean. Okay? I'm using the dictionary. If, you have some hidden dictionary that I don't know, good for you. But going off the book of this language, this is the outcome. Okay? So back on track. Fuck you. Prejudice versus identity politics. We're talking about the prejudice and racism, right? They're two different bodies. So we're not going to use racism right now. We'll talk on that at a different time. Right now, we're just going to talk about prejudice. What is prejudice? Can you, off the top of your dome, think of what prejudice is? Right? Can you, off the dome? We use it. We learn it a lot. We use it a lot. But what is it? Don't look it up. Just say, can I think about what it is? And I even tried this myself. The closest I got to the definition is prejudgment, right? And that's not even a full definition, but it's pretty close, right? But most people, they'll be like, prejudice, that's when you don't like a race or racism or whatever. All that shit's wrong. The closest thing you're going to get to the definition, paraphrasing, is prejudgment, right? And everybody's prejudiced. Every fucking body's prejudiced. It may not be against a race. It may not be against a height or a size at all. But you're prejudiced against something. Because that's how the mind works. You see something and you judge it before you fully identify it. That's a prejudgment. So, if I walk up to you, you hear me on the mic, right? You hear how my voice sounds. If I tell you that I'm a 4'5" Chinese woman, right? And you may have never seen me, right? You hear my voice and prejudge that to that nigga lying. That nigga lying. That nigga Mufasa, he lying. You know what I'm saying? So that's a prejudgment, even though you've never seen me. Well, I'm going to take this down a deeper rabbit hole. When you do see me, you see I'm a 6'something nigga, right? And I stick to my script. I'm a 4'5" Chinese woman. Then you say, oh, this nigga crazy. This nigga crazy. My prejudgment telling me this nigga lost his fucking mind because I'm looking at this nigga. He obviously not 4'5". I'm looking at this nigga. He's obviously not a Chinese. So this nigga's crazy. That's a prejudgment. Even though you could be 100% right. I could be 6'something nigga, right? But this is where we get into the identity politics. If I tell you, that's just how I feel. I identify as a 4'5" Chinese woman. So if you call me anything other than a 4'5" Chinese woman, you're fucking offending me. Right? Well, that shit, now we get into the realm of, oh shit. So it's identity politics. Right? And that's what we are in the world today. Right? And I want to show you where society is making certain things acceptable and you have to just deal with it. You have to just deal with it. And what I'm saying by that is like, if somebody tells you, I identify as this and you don't call me by this, you are offensive. You are fucking offensive, right? So like, if we're going to go into the trans portion of the world, if a person who was born biologically a man and they go through transitions and all of this shit, and they say, I'm a woman now. You refer to me as ma'am, Mrs., and all these different pronouns or whatever. If you use your prejudgment, right, and you're like, no, you're a man. You's a fucking man. You offended them, right? And now that's a fucking, I guess, hate crime. And this is where it touches into this avenue, because, you know, this is the those people shit. And that touches into civil rights, right? Because you violate their civil rights if you deny them certain privileges they feel that they should have because of the fact that they identify with such and such. See how I kind of bringing that back around, or are you still lost? So it goes into where I started this off as, like, I'm a Martian trapped in a human's body. No, you're not. You a nigga from fucking Orlando, Florida. You just violated my civil rights if I told you I'm a Martian. Motherfucker, I identify as a fucking Martian. Fuck you. So, this shit is... We're entering into a world of fantasy. We're entering into a world of fantasy. And the reason why is because our society constructs are not founded in reality any longer. No more. And this might offend some. This might make sense to plenty. But at the same time, I don't give a fuck. I'm El Mingo. I'm just giving you some real shit. Like, this is just a forecast of where we are. And you look at the shit all together. To one side, people are listening and they're like, well, if they want to be that, they have the right to be that. And on the other side, people are listening like, oh, them motherfuckers crazy. What I'm saying is this is the agency versus social construct theory. Well, what you want to be is fine and dandy. It's your life. You know, nobody's going to beat your dick for you unless you get somebody to do it. Good for you, right? But what I'm saying is you shouldn't force other people to bend their will to satisfy yours. You know, if you want to be all this shit that you want to be, if you want to be a monkey trapped in a lion, trapped in a cheetah, trapped in a penguin's body, that's so happens to be trapped in a humanoid figure, cool. That don't mean that the outside world has to address you as lion, penguinoid, all this other fucking shit. Because they just, you know, that's not for them to do. So with that being said, you take that shit, and if you're making these drastic changes and going through all this and that, and you know you're flipping your reality, you're doing all that, cool. But don't force that shit on other people, because now you're just being a dick. To be honest with you, now you're just being a complete total dick. Right? Like, if you want to change your name, cool. Like, if you say, I was born, you know, Alicia, I want to be Tom now. Cool. Shit. Ali went from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. We call that nigga Muhammad Ali. That's names. Cool. But when it comes down to pronouns and shit, you try to force people to do pronouns. Like, oh, if somebody calls you by the wrong pronoun and you correct them, like, please, don't call me he. I'm no longer a he. I'm a she now. And they're like, hey, I don't fuck with none of that switching of the shit, right? Then say, well, okay, just call me by my name. Everything don't have to be war driven. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like a lot of this shit is doing, is war driving people. We can get on a good thing, right? Like, your name used to be Alicia, you're Tom now. You want to be referred to as he and him and all this shit. If people don't feel comfortable calling you he and him and all that shit, say, hey, well, fuck it, call me Tom. I know you said Tom before, just call me fucking Tom. You know, and you could replace the pronouns with that name. And that sounds like, that's not a problem at all. You know, that's not a problem at all. Just call them by the name. And that's where you take a lot of the disrespect out. You take a lot of the war out of it. But to the prejudice and identifying politics, right? I feel like they kind of took prejudice and fucking, they made us think prejudice is a bad thing to introduce us to identity politics. They made us think prejudice is terrible. It's so fucking bad. It's racism. They introduce us into identity politics and force that upon us. And when I say they, I always say they and them and them. I don't know who the fuck they and them is. Right? I don't know if they and them is just the majority of the world, or if they and them is these fucking 1% of people who own all the money, or whatever the fuck they and them is. Right? To me, they and them is the 10%. And we'll get into that when you're ready. But prejudice versus identity politics, where prejudice is not bad. Prejudice is not bad. It could be mislearned behavior, but it's not bad. If you got mislearned behavior, the only way to get rid of that is to learn more. Right? So prejudice is not bad at all. But to use identity politics, you have to get rid of prejudice. Right? You have to get rid of prejudice. And I don't think you should get rid of prejudice. Having nothing on the topic to do with identity politics, just in general, I don't think you should get rid of your prejudice. I think you should learn from your environment. Your environment's going to give you prejudice. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I walk down the street and I see a loose pit bull, I'm going the other fucking way. That could be the friendliest dog in the world, but I see a pit bull. I see a fucking pit bull. And I know what that pit bull can do. That's my prejudgment. So I'm prejudiced to pit bulls. I know what they can fucking do. Right? And if later the owner comes by me with that dog, like, hey, this is my dog, whatever the fuck, Spike, right? And Spike is like extra friendly, the next time I see Spike, I'm not scared. Maybe. I'm maybe not scared. I probably still don't walk up and fuck with Spike. You know, it's like a white people thing. They just walk up and pet dogs. But I'm not as fearful of Spike the next time I see him. So your prejudice, your prejudgment is very important to survival. That's just what it is. But I've seen in the last 20 years, it's like they spent so much time trying to get rid of prejudice, get rid of prejudice. And while doing that, they start introducing slowly this identity politics. Think about it, in the year 2000, we didn't have identity politics like we do now. Really, it came with Obama. And with Obama, you start getting a lot of the, I identify as this and that and that and that and that. And it was more acceptable, right? And, hey, what if, like I say, personal, whatever you identify with, that's your business. But I would have to drop all of my prejudgment to accept that. I have to drop all of my prejudgment to accept that. And that's wrong. That's wrong because your prejudgment comes with your wisdom. It comes with your experience and wisdom. So that's I don't really think that's what people want to do. You know, I don't really think that's like, I don't think that's what people should do. I mean, some people want to do it. And the truth of it is, right, y'all see people when like, this is some fucked up shit, but this is the truth, right? If a 6'5", well, I ain't gonna say 6'5", say Shaquille O'Neal wants to be transgender, right? And he walks up to him and he says, hey, I'm Shaq Diesel, but that's my old name. I'm Shaquilla Diesel now, right? You could say, oh, okay, you know, but deep down, you don't believe that shit. And that goes into what I said previously about like lying is convenient. Where like you see a lot of these people and they don't look like what they tell you. Like they don't look like I'm a man. Like they are a man, right? And they're like, I'm a woman. They don't look like a fucking woman. And you to be nice to them, you're like, okay. But deep down you like, nah, bruh. Nah. I heard this today. I heard this cave bitch do a rant, and she was talking about like them banning Victoria's Secret models for being, you know, the bony bitches and all this and that shit, dude. And she was doing this rant, like, cause you know people want to see more plus size models there, and people want to see all this and that, and you know, to a sense, I agree with her, right? Like, people want to see what people want to see is like not really relevant. Like you see like these real fat girls. I talked about this before too. Like these real big bitches, right? And a lot of them be bad. Like, okay, yeah, this fat bitch can get the dick. But a lot of them be like not attractive. And we celebrate them because they fat. We celebrate them because they're not attractive. We celebrate them like we have a social construct of what attractive is. We do, right? And we in this world of sexism, right? We're like, there's some dudes that'll stick a dick in anything, right? So you're going to have to adhere to one of them. It's either going to be, what do we find sexy, or we going to adhere to the dude who fucking, he want to stick his dick in any bitch he can find, right? So you got to surrender or conquer. That's what it is. So this K bitch, she was talking about like, well, I don't think it's right that you're getting rid of these Victoria models, angels, or whatever the fuck they call them. And she was like, you just adding people on there, but you know, they're saying all bodies are great. All bodies are great. Well, what about these Victoria Angels bodies? And I said, damn, she got a good point there. You know, these little bony bitches, they have bodies too. Are their bodies not good because they're bony? You know, and for the longest time, you know, white people have pushed bony bodies. Black people ain't never fall for that bony shit. Shout out to Coley Ray. That's like the only bitch I ever seen black people like. Well, Rihanna too. Rihanna's bony bitch. But that's the only two bitches that I seen black people like. That bony bitch can get it, bruh. You know. But other than that, we always looked up to the thick bitches. We always looked up to the thick bitch. Erykah Badu, thick bitch. You know? Thick. Beyonce, thick bitch. You know? So, Aretha Franklin, thick bitch. We always looked up to the thick bitches. You know, we never really like praised bony bitches. I want to say before, you know, Rihanna, right? We had like, you know, Halle Berry. Halle Berry's a little bony bitch, but like before that, like the only superstar bony bitch that we really praised like that is like Whitney Houston, and she smoked rocks. She was a quackhead, you know. Rest in peace, Whitney. But we looked up to, you know, I don't know nobody who wouldn't have fucked Whitney. Even as a crackhead. I don't know no nigga that said I wouldn't have fucked that crackhead bitch. Every nigga would have fucked Whitney. That's why niggas talk shit about Bobby, but Bobby was fucking her. You know? Like, niggas talk shit about Bobby, but Bobby had Whitney. He was fucking Whitney. Whitney as a crackhead in the 2000s is still fuckable. Because she's fucking Whitney Houston. But, that being said, to get back on what the K bitch was talking about, she was talking about, like, Victoria's Secret models, like, they getting canceled. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they are getting canceled, whatever, but some of the K bitch was talking about the Victoria's Secret models getting canceled, and they adding, like, plus size and all this shit and this and that because, you know, all bodies are sexy. And she was like, well, don't these skinny bitches have bodies too? Aren't their bodies sexy too? And so, whatever. What sells? What sells? So, I have a question out of this, right? Big women, listening to me, big women, right? Thick girls. When y'all think of yourself, do y'all think of yourself in your mind as skinny? Like when you watch porn, do you watch skinny bitches and imagine yourself as them skinny bitches, right? If you're a black woman, do you watch porn? Do you watch white women and think of yourself as a white woman? You know, do you think of yourself as somebody other than what you are? That's my question for you. Or when you watch porn, do you watch somebody that's close to your body type? Do you watch somebody that's close to your skin type? Do you watch, you know, so like if you're dark skinned, do you watch like yellow bone porn and like imagine you're them? You know, I heard, I think the saddest thing in the world is like a dark skinned girl hating her dark skin. She wants to be yellower or she wants to be redder or such and such. Like God don't make mistakes. You know, and I personally believe, black women, all of y'all is beautiful in what you are. But what I believe don't mean shit. Because what I believe ain't gonna make you successful. It's what you believe that's gonna make you live in paradise. So when you watching porno Or you looking at models, you looking at TV, are you reading a book and using your imagination? Do you see yourself as an out-of-body experience into somebody else's body? Or do you see those characters and whatever the fuck you may be utilizing as someone who looks like you? And that's the big picture. And that's what this cave bitch made me think of, right? And I'm wondering that shit, right? I personally, like when I watch porn, right? I like to watch lesbian porn. I don't like looking at people's dick. So I watch lesbian bitches eat each other out. That's my preference, right? And the truth of the matter is, I feel like I got the best dick in the world. 360 degrees if the world is round. If the world is flat, I got the best dick on that too. Nobody's slinging dick better than I. I'm Mango El Goto. Or how they say, Mango El Chiva. Nobody got better dick than I. Right? So, why the fuck I'm gonna watch some dude fucker just to be disappointed? If she looks amazing, if she looks good, I'm looking at this dude fucker and I'm like, man, this nigga, he wasting all that good pussy. You know, get him the fuck out of here. Let me step in. Show her what it's like. Straight iron's what I'm singing. Don't believe me? Hey, it's on you. I won't lie to you. I cry to you before I lie to you. Straight iron. But I'm wondering what y'all like. And a lot of times, too, you know, the whole platform shit, to get back on it, or a lot of y'all is like fucking, y'all looking at, for those of you who are looking at pornos and all these different imagery things of other women, and you're imagining yourself in someone lighter, maybe someone whiter, someone not as whiter, and someone as, you know, all these different things. And I personally think that's the reason why a lot of women like to get weave and shit. That's why I'm against weave. I think you naturally is all you need to be. I think a lot of black divorces end because of weave, subconsciously, because weave is a costume. Weaves and wigs and shit, that's a costume. That's a fucking costume. That's not you. That is not you. So you put on this, I'm going to put on this wig and go out here. Why you putting on a wig for? So I can look like something else. That's a costume. There ain't no difference in Halloween. And a lot of y'all sisters going to be like, but fuck that, I wear my weave. Cool, I understand. But weave and wigs is a costume. Anywhere you put it, that's a costume. You know? And that's why I've always been against weaves and wigs, on top of the fact that I have a phobia for weaves and wigs. It just make me want to vomit. Long story. But weaves and wigs is a costume. That's what it is. So, you know, ain't gonna be that dead horse too. It's just what it be. Hey man, I want it one time for the Mangaloids. This week we did a Mangaloid special and this is a Juneteenth special. And I want to say one time for all you Mangaloids. I started this shit on March 1st, and the feedback and the fucking just the viewing and all that shit has been immaculate. Like, y'all really supported the boy and y'all really supported the movement. I want to say fucking thank y'all. With that being said, I got some bad news and some good news. So the month of July, we ain't dropping shit, right? So y'all basically got the first season of Involuntary Immigrants Podcast. So that means, for those of you that are new, you got the month of July to go listen to the old shit and whatever the fuck you been put on. For you people who check me out every fucking time, like 100% true Mangaloids. I got a mission for y'all. I want y'all to take any episode and send them out. All the episodes. I stand by everything I fucking say. Send out everything you can. Do all that shit in the month of July. We coming back in August and we coming back harder. Ridiculous. Right? But it's just the first season. This was me. As you could tell, it was different. It was ins and outs, right? So this was me learning this shit. I'm new to this shit. I'm not a professional. Right? But this was my experimental with the process and all that shit. And from March 1st until now, I gave y'all everything I had. To some of you motherfuckers, it wasn't enough. To some of you motherfuckers, it was too much. Whatever. But this gonna be the last episode until August. Now, we will be dropping like a best of mango and all of that shit. But that's gonna be shit that the true mango lords have heard already. So I'm pretty sure, unless you want to hear it again, it won't fascinate you. But it's gonna be dropping and all that shit. But come August, we're gonna have a whole new shit. We might even be doing a Jimmy Crew. But I really wanted to take this to say thank you. I didn't want to surprise y'all when y'all come looking for the 1st and 15th of July. Like, what the fuck is that, mango? It ain't gonna be there. It ain't gonna fucking be there. It ain't coming back to the 1st of August. All right, you're gonna get like the best of mangoes and this and that. You might even get a nigga surprise. Surprise, nigga surprise. But you will not get no 1st and 15th episodes that are new in the month of July. So it's a heads up. Bigger than that, like I said again, I really mean this shit from the bottom of my fucking ice cold icebox heart. Thank you guys so much for at least listening. Even if you don't agree with the philosophy, at least listening and using the philosophy to compare it with your philosophy and see if it's adaptable or if it's rejectable. So, one love to all the people. And with that being said, we're going to close out with a little bit of that Santana banger.
Bet it look different now. I bet that shit look different now. Yeah. Say forgive, but don't forget. Love, I still got pain that I ain't healed from. I still show love when I don't feel none. Outside looking in, it look real easy, but ain't as easy as it seems. My nigga best believe me, this shit get real. I still got pain that I ain't healed from. I still show love when I don't feel none. Outside looking in, it look real easy, but ain't as easy as it seems. My nigga best believe me, this shit get real greasy. I want my shit paid in full time, we ain't even. Been crossed so many times, I had to switch my defense. I pray to God, I know he love me, he ain't never leave me. Even when I stopped believing, he kept a nigga breathing. Love will turn your heart cold easy. Gold chains compliment my heart, gold pieces. Being through it for the fam, and that's the only reason. The reason I ain't crash out and start tweaking. Conversations about the past feel like I'm still there. I let it go, but truth be told, feel like I still care. They say forgive and forget, but life goes on, I'm still stubborn as a bitch. Like I ain't changing shit, that pain to take you on a long walk. Not in the streets, but still a gangster on this sidewalk. Too many niggas got opinions, you better watch them out. Like who you talking about? Come follow me and let me show you what this walk about. I still got pain that I ain't healed from. I still show love when I don't feel none. Outside looking in, it look real easy, but ain't as easy as it seems. My nigga best believe me, this shit get real. I still got pain that I ain't healed from. I still show love when I don't feel none. Outside looking in, it look real easy, but ain't as easy as it seems. My nigga best believe me, this shit get real greasy. I want my shit paid in full time. The same 24 hours, ain't talking part time. Had no food on the table, experienced them hard times. I brought you to the table, ain't talking wine and dime. I see dogs turn snake, Play the game like EA and I ain't never run. Trust issues, gave my all and in return I should've never fucked with you, but that's the price of love. Love don't give a fuck. Being dazed down and out and made it hard to breathe. Went from talking about the dreams, now you running schemes. Big dog, we was going on the same team, Big dog did me wrong and probably blame me, Good hard turn fast like you been in the cone on they ass. Smashing the gas, the words say the last gon' be first, so I'm good with that verse on they ass. Now watch me do the dash. I still got pain that I ain't healed from. I I still show love when I don't feel none. Outside looking in, it look real easy, but ain't as easy as it seem. My nigga, best believe me, this shit get real. I still got pain that I ain't healed from. I still show love when I don't feel none. Outside looking in, it look real easy, but ain't as easy as it seem. My nigga, best believe me, this shit get real greasy.